This Labor Day at Lowe's, shop member-only doorbuster deals for a limited time. Save $50 on an Ego string trimmer, now $169. Plus, get 50% off select Holland pavers. Not a rewards member? Sign up for free today. But hurry, Labor Day doorbuster deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 9/1 while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
When your company earns unlimited 2% cash back on all purchases with Capital One, that's serious business. So Stephen at SandCloud got a serious business card, the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One.
We used our 2% cash back to help build our retail presence.
Savvy, Stephen.
And we get big purchasing power, so our business can spend more and earn more.
The Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/SparkCashPlus.
Wednesday, August 27, 2025. You are listening to the Daly Dose podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado. And we are back for another week of talking sport with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. I hope your week is going well, and I hope you and your family and your friends, everyone in your world is staying strong and healthy right now. And hey, now it's getting serious, kids. I mean, we've got college football full on starting tomorrow night. We've got college football on Friday night. We've got college football on Saturday. We've got college football on Sunday and on Monday. It is here. We've been waiting basically since the Super Bowl for football to be back. And here it is. And I absolutely can't wait. In fact, I have got a jam-packed show for you today. I've got a long show for you today. I won't lie. It's a big one. Today on the show, we are once again going to be joined by President of the Daly Dose I-Team. Yes, I'm talking about Big Rob. We are going to continue to preview the 2025 college football season. Now, if you listened last week, we had a special guest, but then we dove into college football and we broke down the ACC and the Big 12. And this week, we are going to finish things up. We will look at some of the contenders. We will look at some pretenders. We will be making our picks for who will be winning conference championships, who will be winning the Heisman Trophy, and yes, who will be making it to that college football playoff, and who's going to be coming out on top when it is all said and done. In fact, we have so much to get to today, we need to jump back in to our college football preview with Big Rob right now. Let's move on from the Big 12 and let's go to the Big 10. The Oregon Ducks actually won the Big 10 last year. We kind of forgot that, didn't we? No one remembers because it was Ohio State that rolled to the national title. Once again, the Big 10 is going to be stacked, and don't look now. They have won 2 titles in a row. Can they do it again? Rob, I've got a few contenders here. We can go back and forth on this because I've got a few teams I really like this Big 10. It is stacked. But who's your first team out of the Big 10 you want to mention?
Yeah, first team I'll mention, and quite a few. This is kind of deeper than I was expecting when I start going through it. But the first one I'm going to give you is Illinois.
Yep.
Last season, 10-4. That was a little overshadowed by probably another team we'll talk about here soon. But they returned 19 starters. I like the coach, former coach from Wisconsin. So he knows his way around the Big 10. And like I said, I think, have a good season. It's one of those programs that's building. So I think, another solid season, might not get to 10 wins, but I think be riding out, right around that number again. Yeah, so this is a team I'm going to keep my eye on. Don't think they have enough to win it all, but I like where they're going.
No, I think they're dangerous. And, you talked about a team, they went 10-3. They won the Citrus Bowl. They're a really physical team. They don't mind getting in the trenches and having just a rock fight right in your face. I wish they had a little bit better skill position kids, but they're dangerous because they're tough and they play defense. I mean, here's the other thing about Illinois. That schedule isn't horrible. They get USC and Ohio State at home. I think Illinois got to get out of the gate quick. They get Duke and Indiana pretty early. Don't trip up to that Indiana team. If you do, well, then you might be in a little bit of trouble. But I like Illinois. I think Illinois is a dangerous team. That is a tough, physical football team. Yeah, I like them a lot. All right, I don't think this next team can win it all, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. The problem is that offense, it's not going to be great, but that Michigan defense, it might once again be one of the best in the country. Head coach Ron Moore, he's taking that voluntary 2-game suspension for all that Harbaugh cheating stuff. But I think Michigan is going to be a problem. Schedule's easier. They are not afraid of Ohio State like everyone else is. I think Michigan is a dangerous team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points, but I like Michigan quite a bit.
Yeah, Michigan actually one of my contenders for, like I said, all the reasons you mentioned. They avoid Penn State and Oregon. I think they're going to get a little bit better quarterback play. And then you mentioned the schedule. 8 of 9 of their Big Ten opponents had a losing conference record last year.
Yeah.
So I just think on the schedule alone, a little bit better QB play. They're sneaking in there, so they're better than expected. So they're a contender for me.
I agree. I think they're going to be very, very tough. Well, then I've only got 2 other contenders. What other team do you want to mention there, Rob?
I got a couple, if that's okay.
Yeah, bring it.
So the next one I wanted to throw out is Nebraska.
Yeah.
And the reason this is year 3 for Matt Rule. So if you look at Temple and Baylor, those are the years where he turned it around. I think Raiola is going to be a little bit better. At the end of last season, when Dana Holmgren took over the play calling, he got a lot better. And also, speaking back to the schedule, they avoid Ohio State and Oregon.
Yes.
So again, not enough to win the conference, I think. But again, year 3 Matt Rule could be a thing. So that's somebody I got my eye on.
Absolutely agree. And Nebraska could be very dangerous. I thought down the stretch they were getting better and better every week last year. Schedules just got too tough. Coming into this year, they might be a team to deal with. Who's your other team you want to mention?
I got 2 more mentions for you. You already actually touched on one. Indiana. Surprised last season. They did good work in the portal, and I just like their coach, Kurt Cignetti. Kind of gives me Kiffin vibes. Team.
He doesn't care. He goes out and
kind of want to watch.
Yeah, he goes out there. They're going to put up points. He's going to get good quarterback play. They're going to go out there and try to outscore you. Schedule will be a little bit more challenging, and they did lose a few people. But yeah, I think Indiana is definitely worth a mention. I just, that Big Ten schedule is just going to be very, very tough. Who's your final mention then?
One more mention than my 2 contenders, and I'm going to say USC. It's still Lincoln Riley. Last season, they lost 5 games by a combined 19 points. So where the record isn't great, you see they were kind of close in there. Offense, I think they'll be fine. It's always going to come back, the past few years, is that defense can hold its own at all, which I don't think so. But again, I just think they're worth a mention, another Lincoln Riley coach team. And like I said, even though the record was bad, they were kind of close last year.
Is Riley on the hot seat?
I think so. I think so. Yeah,
I think
when you look at his record,
yeah,
his record over the past 3, it was his 3rd season, I think.
Yeah.
And hasn't been great, especially for, USC standards.
Right. You can sit there and say, well, hey, they're putting up points. They're scoring a lot. No one cares. Are you winning games? And he has not won nearly enough. Okay. So I am betting that I know your first contender, and I would think it's probably from the Great Northwest, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oregon.
Yeah. Those Oregon Ducks are going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dan Lanning's got himself a program, doesn't he?
He does. Yep.
He's kind of goofy, but.
Yeah, I'm not I was about to say, I'm not a fan. I'm not a Lanning fan. But like I said, they're only returning 5 starters, but they did do good work in the portal. I'm worried about their offensive line.
Yes.
But like I said, to your point, Lanning 35-6 at Oregon. So,
he's winning games.
He's been there. So yeah, he's going to be in the mix.
Yeah, he's got to replace him, and he's got to replace a very, very experienced veteran quarterback in Taylor Gabriel that, is now going on to the NFL. But Oregon is still going to be stacked. That is a, top 5 recruiting class year in, year out kind of team. They've got talent. They just don't have the experience maybe that some of these other teams do. Mm-hmm. All right, now it's going to get real interesting. I think we've each got one contender and then our champ.
Yep.
All right. Contender is who?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Rob, they lost 14 kids. I get it. But, man, they return a ton still. And I know they got to get a quarterback. But, man, Ohio State is just stacked.
Yeah, talent's there. Like you said, they lost a lot. And they also lost both their coordinators. So that's the kind of one that made it slip for me. But, again, talent-wise, same as Oregon. They've got talent around the ball. It could definitely all come together. And I'm still not a Ryan Day believer.
Right.
I'll be starting to chance to fire him again. Just because.
Right. Well, when he uses that much permanent marker on his beard, you start to wonder about that guy, if he's just not all there or what's going on. One thing about Ohio State, if they can kind of get through, they've got that tough opener. They open at home against Texas. That's going to be a tough game. But if they can kind of get through and they can kind of settle in and find their quarterback, get their offensive line's legs under them, Rob, they might have the best player in the country in wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. That kid is absolutely unbelievable. And for that reason, I give Ohio State still a shot. But they have got to go to our champion's house to get a win. And we're both going to do this. And we're both just going to close our eyes and make this pick. Yep. Rob, we both got Penn State winning something, and they never win anything.
They never do. But I guess process of analysis, is that what they say?
Yeah.
Process of elimination. Yeah, just, lots of seniors on the roster. Yes. They brought in DC Jim Knowles, Drew Allard. I really don't trust, but,
no.
He's been through he's been there. He's a veteran. So, yeah, by default, I guess, give me Penn State to win the Big Ten.
This is James Franklin's best team he's ever had. That defensive front is going to be one of the best in the country. If you can't win this year, I don't know what to tell you. The table is set for you to go win something this year. Go win, Penn State. Go do something. They never beat anybody good. All right. We're going to see. Can Penn State go prove it? And we both are going to have our doubts. We're going to be looking through our fingers at that whole idea, because the next time they beat an actual good ranked team will be the first.
Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
We finish up our major conference preview with that mighty Southeastern Conference that is now on a 2-year losing streak of not winning the national title. But once again, this conference is going to be absolutely loaded. Last year, Georgia won the conference, but then it was Texas that went all the way to the Final Four before they lost to Ohio State. They didn't even get an SEC team in the title game. Rob, I've got 4 contenders, and then I've got my champion. What do you got as far as mentions and contenders?
Yeah, I've got 3 I want to mention. I got 3 contenders I feel good about, and then my champ. Okay. Well, I don't know how good I feel about them, but
I don't feel good at all. I feel good about my contenders. I don't feel great about anybody else. What do you got for your mention you want to get out there?
My first mention is going to be Ole Miss. Top 3 in scoring and offense, scoring offense and defense last season. Obviously, they missed the playoffs, but it's still a lot of talent here. Like I said, I feel like last year was the year, so that's kind of why I have them in the mention mode. A little worried about that O-line. Schedule isn't great. They do avoid Bama and Texas, so that's going to help a little bit. But yeah, I feel like last year was the year to do it. But again, I think they'll still be in the mix.
Yeah, they will. And you know what? I'll be very transparent, Rob. I really wanted to see Ole Miss make the playoff last year. I think it would have been fascinating to see what Lane Kiffin would have done with Jackson Dart and that group down there. I don't know if they'd have, won it all, but I think they would have been really, really exciting to watch, really fun to watch. Hey, Lane is entertaining. They're going to, find new people. They've got skilled guys. The schedule's going to be tough. That whole SEC, a lot of tough schedules in that SEC. So yeah, I like Ole Miss. I don't love them. Who's your other mention then?
Another mention, I got 2 more, and they're kind of tied. First one is going to be Missouri.
Yeah.
You look at their last 2 seasons, 11-2, 10-3. They did good work in the portal. So a top 20 scoring defense last season. And the biggest thing for them, as well as my next mention, is the schedule.
Yes.
Last season, there were 6 SEC teams that had a losing conference record. 5 of those are on Missouri's schedule. So just with that, as soft as the schedule can be in the SEC. But with a lighter schedule, I think they have a chance to get some momentum. First 6 games are all at home, so things start fast and kind of slowly falls apart. But I think they could be interesting as well.
Yeah, and they're going to be a team that if they go out there and just beat the teams they should, again, you're going to be talking about a top 20 kind of team. And then you see, can they grow up? Can they figure things out? Are they actually for real or not? But yeah, I think Missouri is a good example of a team that sometimes kids believe it, even though it isn't true. And if they come out and they jump on people to begin with, they're going to be a little bit of a pain. All right, I'm going to give you a contender. Rob, this is my first contender, and I'm going to feel bad doing this, but I know the roster is still stocked with top-level talent. I know. But this group is going to be young and inexperienced. They're going to have some skilled guys, but I don't exactly know what I'm getting out of Georgia this year. Gunnar Stockton, I've never seen him. I don't know. Maybe they're going to be better than I think. The schedule is friendly early, but then you get to mid-September with guys that are not experienced. They go to Tennessee and host Alabama back-to-back weeks. That's not going to be easy. I think this is probably one of the less talented teams that he's had down there. And he's just had nothing but really, really good teams. I'm just not quite sure what to think of Georgia yet.
Yeah, I agree. This was I had 3 contenders, and this was number 3 for me.
Yeah.
For all the same reasons you mentioned. Like I said, I just got them up there just because it's talent. I mean, it's Georgia, so I think they'll be in the mix. So yeah, that was my number 3. Well, the first of my contenders, and I'll just jump back real quick to Tennessee was my other mention, and kind of same as Missouri here. The same schedule. They got 5 teams that had a losing conference record last season. So quarterback situation was kind of interesting. Probably ended up even, not, probably a wash.
Yeah.
So been good the past couple seasons. So, they're kind of in play, but, not quite enough for me.
Right. And I mean, Fat Justin Timberlake is doing a really good job. Whoever he gets as a quarterback, he's going to eventually coach them up. If they keep that kid that ends up going to UCLA, like just quit playing. Like, what are you doing going to UCLA? just end your career. But if he keeps him, Tennessee's a team I look at as, hey, maybe they're kind of a dark horse candidate. That loss is going to take a little more time to overcome. Tennessee's going to be a pain. They're going to still be very, very solid. They could end up being dangerous the more games they get under their belt. But yeah, I would put Tennessee in kind of that same vicinity. All right, Rob, who's your first contender?
First one out of 2 here is going to be Alabama.
You had Georgia, right? Georgia was
I had Georgia.
Next
would be Alabama.
Okay,
looking for a bounce back here. Last season wasn't terrible, 9-4, but it's Alabama, so obviously fan base isn't happy. But I do think DeBoer's a good coach. Ryan Grubb, his offensive coordinator, NFL last season, but now he's back. They brought in some talent to kind of tighten up that defense. And again, I think that's a good coach. The talent's there. So I got them contending this year.
I've got them as a contender as well. So we agree on Alabama. I've got them as good. And again, find a quarterback, figure some things out. I think Alabama is going to be in the hunt. They might actually be a playoff contender as well. I'm going to throw out a contender. And I know this team is on top of every single poll. And I know I'm going to look like a fool when I don't take them. But Rob, I've still got questions about Texas. I know the defensive line could be one of the best in the country. Arch Manning could be a major upgrade at quarterback because he is such a dual threat. He can hurt you in so many ways. Head coach Steve Sarkisian, he's going to have him ready to go. Top recruiting class in the country. But they haven't done it yet. They haven't been to the Horseshoe yet. They opened there. They haven't been to the Swamp yet. They're going to go there very, very, early on. They are expected to just handle teams like Oklahoma and Texas A&M. They don't always do that. This isn't going to be as easy as it's being made out to be. I think Texas slips a few times. I still think they're a contender for the playoff. I still think they're a contender for the SEC. I can just see Texas slipping up a couple times.
I agree. This was my contender as well. The biggest worry for me is going to be that offensive line. Again, Arch is, probably good enough to maneuver, but if the O-line isn't blocking, doesn't matter. His, mobility doesn't matter. Yeah, like you said, plenty of talent. I think they'll still be in the mix for the playoff. But yeah, I do not have them as my SEC champion.
This is going to get real interesting right now. All right, Rob. I've got 2 teams left. I've got a contender and I've got a champion, and I'm going to look like an idiot when I pick this, but I'm going to do it anyways. All right, Rob, who is your last contender? We'll save that champion. There's no way we agree on this. There's just no way we're agreeing on this.
Actually, I'm out. All I have left is my champion. So
you just have your champ.
First. Yeah.
All right. Rob, I'm going to put LSU out there as my contender. Mm-hmm. Head coach Brian Kelly, best team he's had so far in Baton Rouge. I think he is feeling some serious pressure to produce. They're 0-3 in their opening game under Brian Kelly. Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier might be the best passer in the country. He's got some weapons around him. The defense should be a little better. I just don't like their schedule. They go to Clemson, to Ole Miss, to Alabama, to Oklahoma. I think they have to slip up a few times. I have them on the edge. I have them a contender. I have them maybe even making the playoff. I have LSU as a contender.
LSU is my champion. This is my 3-year thing again. Brian Kelly, year 3. The record's 29-11, which isn't terrible. And like I said, quarterback is big. Experienced quarterback. Worried about the O-line, and like you said, the schedule scares me the most. But I'm betting that the defense is going to be better. So with a couple losses, which I think everybody's kind of going to have, LSU is going to end up as my champion.
Okay. Rob, I'm going to do something really, really stupid. But I'm going to lob this trivia question out to listeners. Quick, name the highest scoring SEC team from last year. It's not LSU. It's not Tennessee. It's not Alabama. It's not Georgia. It is Texas A&M. And I think they're tough up front. They return a ton of starters. No, they're not the big name. I always just expect A&M to screw up. But head coach Mike Elko, he is coaching this group up. They are physical. They are tough. My problem, again, that schedule is difficult. They go to Notre Dame, LSU, and Texas. I think A&M is going to be a problem for teams, though, because I think they're going to be tough. And I think they're going to score a ton of points. So you're going to have to outscore them. Rob goes to LSU, and I go Texas A&M as my SEC champion. And Rob, I'm going against every fiber of my being to pick Texas A&M as my champion. Nothing about that makes sense whatsoever. I admit it. I'm okay with it. All right, let's move past that. Rob, what do you have as far as that power group of 5? What do you have outside the big time schools? Do you have anybody out there that you like maybe as being a playoff contender?
Yeah, only one, and it's going to be Boise State for me. Just been strong past couple seasons. Mountain West, I don't think they have any problems with maybe they drop one, but I think this is the group of 5 team that gets in the playoff. Boise State. Okay, yeah, I do like Boise State, and I mean, that coach, he's doing a really, really good job. I know Ashton Genty's gone. Matson is pretty good. They bring back 15 starters. Spencer Danielson, he's doing a nice job up in Boise, and they're probably going to roll through that schedule for the most part. They've got a couple big games, but that's it. And I am going to mention one other team. Rob, Marcus Freeman, he's done something I didn't think was possible. He's got me to not hate Notre Dame. Yeah, same.
I don't love them, but I don't hate him anymore. Yeah. I like Marcus Freeman. I like the job he does. I like the way that guy runs his program and the way he carries himself. I'm going to put Notre Dame out there. They're going to still be very good. Yes, they lost some key pieces, but that schedule is so paper soft. You're going to get A&M and you're going to get Boise State, and then you're going to beat everybody. Maybe USC gives you a little bit of a game. They got a good shot of getting back that playoff because that schedule is not going to be very tough. So I'm going to mention them. All right, Rob, let's get down to some serious things here. Who's going to win the Heisman this year? What do you have for our Heisman this year? Give me how many. You got any contenders? You got a champ? How do you have this broke down?
Yeah, I've got 3 long shots that I'm just going to kind of throw out there. Then 2 real contenders, and then my pick. Okay,
give me a long shot. What do you got?
So my first one, Marcel Reed, Texas A&M, your team.
See, no, I'm on board with those stupid Aggies.
But dual threat quarterback, good O-line, like you said. Kevin Concepcion comes in from NC State, wide receiver transfer. So like you mentioned before, I think this is a guy that can roll that offense, throws up big numbers. So whereas I didn't have them in the playoff, but this is, if they make it, I think he's having a great year, Marcel Reed. So that was my my first mention, long shot.
Okay, I like that pick. You have one more mention, or one more long shot? I mean,
2 more.
Give me one more.
Thomas Castellanos, I think is how you say it. Florida State. Same thing. Gus Malzahn is the offensive coordinator from UCF. This is another dual quarterback guy. Again, Malzahn, dusts off the old Cam Newton playbook, so maybe he gets this guy rolling. So that's another long shot. Like I said, I don't have FSU making the playoff, but I think that's a QB that, could get rolling, and, who knows.
I would agree with that. And that schedule, that conference, he's going to have a chance to put up some pretty big numbers if he can get it going. I like that pick as well. I'm going to throw out my first contender. And my first contender is going to put up massive, massive numbers. He probably should be higher on this for me, but I'm going to put up Drew Aller. I don't know how much I trust Penn State. He's in his 4th year as the primary starter. He's going to put up good numbers, isn't he? Hey, if Penn State is going to achieve the goals that we're looking at and saying, hey, Penn State could do this stuff, Drew Aller's got to be the guy, doesn't he? He's got to put up those big kind of Heisman numbers. I think he has to be a Heisman contender if Penn State is truly going to be a contender. I'll name Drew Aller as a contender. I've got 2 other contenders and a champ. What do you have, Rob?
I'll give you one more mention. Then I got 2 contenders and a champ.
Okay.
Jaden Maiava, USC, simply because Lincoln Riley quarterback. I think the O-line's going to be better. But, yeah, I'm always going to throw whoever his quarterback is in the mix.
Of course.
Yeah, just because the way, obviously the history with Heisman's there under him.
Yeah, no. He knows how to get kids the most out of kids, and he knows how to put up big numbers, and we know those voters love those big numbers. All right, I'm going to give you one more contender that I have. This kid we just mentioned coming out of the Big Ten. I don't think he's going to win it because they like to give this award to quarterbacks, but Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith might be the best player in the country. Last year as a freshman, 76 catches, 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns as a freshman. Now, the catch for him, he's got to have a quarterback, and we don't know exactly what that's going to mean for him, but Jeremiah Smith is one of the best wide receivers I have seen in quite a while. This kid might be special, and for that reason, I'm going to put him out here. I'm just not sure who his quarterback's going to be. Rob, who else do you have as as someone that could win the Heisman this year?
Another contender I'll give you is Cade Klubnik. Clemson, kind of like we talked about before, conference is down. This is a guy I think the defense is going to be really good, and he could put up some decent numbers, and more so that record kind of has him in the Heisman conversation.
Agree. In fact, you just named my winner because I'm going to put Klubnik as my Heisman champ. Honestly, some of it's because he's coming out of the ACC. He's going to put up big numbers. He's going to dominate statistically. He's in his 4th year. Started to look like last year he might be starting to figure some things out, starting to figure out when to throw it, when to run it, when to be smart and get rid of it and not take big losses. Kind of stop making the big dumb mistakes. Cade Klubnik is going to be my winner. I've got one other contender, and he might be your Heisman winner. What else you got?
One more contender. For me, I feel like you have to mention Arch Manning.
Yep.
The hype is real. Seems to have all of the talent. So, yeah, I think you got to throw him in there.
I would agree with that. And, I mean, if Arch goes out and he plays like he's capable of, hey, Steve Sarkisian is going to coach him up. He is going to have him ready to go. We know he's got all the genetic traits that you would want. Arch Manning is going to be very, very good. We haven't seen him much, but what we have seen, he looks very, very dangerous. Okay, so I've got Klubnik as my champion. I've got one other contender, and I would almost bet my contender is going to be your champ. Who do you have as your Heisman winner?
Nussmeier, LSU.
Garrett Nussmeier. Yeah, that's what I've got as well. Man, he's going to put up some monster numbers, Rob. Mm-hmm. I mean, 4,000 yards last year, 29 touchdowns last year. He might be better this year.
Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah, I think he was finished number 5 in yards last year. And like you said, another year of experience under his belt and still has the weapons there. Like I said, I've got I got LSU winning the SEC. And like I said, I think kind of correlated because of that. I think he's going to go off and put up some crazy numbers. Yeah,
I could totally see that. Like I said, I have him as my top contender. Rob's got him as his winner. Once again, we come in very, very similar on our picks. But now we're going to blow everything up because, Rob, I'm actually writing a few notes here because I screwed something up on my picks, but I am fixing something very, very quickly. My 12-team playoff is just a absolute mess. Like I said, I'm wearing out paper. I'm wearing out eraser. I'm wearing out the table trying to fix this thing. All right. Do we want to count down from 12 down or do we want to start at our 1? Because our 1, like we all kind of know, we already picked our champs. We're going to kind of be able to figure that out, right? Should we start at 1?
Either way, it's probably going to be pretty spotty this year, though.
It's going to be real spotty. That's all right. All right, Rob. I'm going to go with my number 1 team. My top seed going into the college football playoff is going to be the Clemson Tigers. I believe they're going to win the ACC, and I believe they're going to win the ACC because the ACC is not that great. A couple teams out there that contend a little bit. I don't think anybody has the defense that Clemson has. I made Clemson and your boy Dabo my number 1. Who's your number 1 seed, Rob?
Number 1 for me is SEC champ LSU.
Ooh,
I still
LSU.
think they probably drop a couple games, but they're close. They don't get blown out. They win the SEC. Just means more. Number 1 seed.
Okay. I like that pick. We move on to number 2. My number 2 pick, I am going to go with my Big Ten champ, and I'm going to go with the Penn State Nittany Lions at number 2. That feels way too high for me, but I'm going to put them there anyways. Rob, who do you have at number 2?
Same for me. Penn State, because they win the Big Ten. This is number 2 for me.
All right. Well, so far so good. We move on to number 3, and at number 3, I have got my shocking, no one saw it coming, Texas A&M Aggies as my SEC representative champion, and they get my number 3 seed. Who do you have at 3?
Yeah, we're kind of on track here. Clemson is my number 3. Yeah, conference winner, like you said, great record. Yeah, that's my number 3, Clemson.
All right. At number 4, I've got the runner-up in the Big Ten, and I'm going to put the Ohio State Buckeyes as my number 4 seed. I know that's probably too high, but I think the Big Ten is going to be very, very stacked, and I think Ohio State is going to get a very, very high seed because of that. So I'm going to give my 4 seed to Ohio State. Rob, who do you have at number 4?
Number 4 is my SEC runner-up, Alabama.
Okay, that makes sense. So again, yeah, we're kind of on step here as usual. At number 5, I'm going to go with my Big 12 champion. I have got Arizona State getting that 5 seed as the Big 12 champ. Who do you have at 5, Rob?
Number 5, soft schedule, gets Notre Dame as the number 5 seed.
Oh, that is interesting. That is really interesting because we go next to number 6, where I have Notre Dame getting the number 6 seed. So once again, we're not too far off. Rob, who gets your 6?
Number 6 for me, another team from the SEC sneaks in. Give me Georgia in this spot.
All right. Rob goes with Georgia at the 6. At 7, I've got another SEC team as well, and I'm going to go with Bama at 7. I already have my champion with A&M, but I'm going to go Bama at the 7 seed. Who do you have at 7, Rob?
My last SEC school, Texas, gets in. They're
right.
the number 7 seed here.
Very, very nice. I am going to go to my number 8 seed, and my number 8 seed, I've got my final SEC team. I've got LSU getting in at the number 8 seed. So we're getting the same teams in. We're just jumbling up their order, but yeah, I've got LSU at 8. Who do you have at 8, Rob?
8. You've already got them slotted in at the 8 spot as Ohio State.
OSU gets in. So we're differing on slot, but we're getting the same basic teams in there. At number 9, I am going to do something maybe a little bit stupid, but at number 9, I'm going to go with the ACC runner-up, and I'm going to go with Miami. I think Miami sneaks in, and I think they get the number 9 seed. Who do you have at 9?
9, I got another Big Ten team sneaking in. Give me Oregon at number 9.
Oregon gets in. All right. We've got 3 teams left, Rob. At the number 10 seed, I'm going to go with a team from the Mountain West Conference that if they can get by Notre Dame, they're probably going to win most all the rest of their games. And I'm going to go with Boise State getting in at the 10 seed. Who do you have at number 10?
10 spot, I had Miami that you mentioned. I changed it at the last minute, and I'm probably going to regret it. Somehow, number 10, Michigan gets in.
Oh, Michigan gets in. I like that pick. Yeah. I had Michigan in one of mine. I scratched them off and I took them back out. So we probably did the exact same thing. I think I put Miami in. Yeah. So we're at number 11. I'm going to go with my Big 12 runner up. I'm getting Kansas State in there. So Kansas State, Big 12 gets in at 11. What do you have at 11, Rob?
11, the Mountain West winner, same as you. I've got Boise State in at number 11.
All right. And then our final seed, the number 12 seed. And again, I'm going with the team that I still am questioning my own sanity. Rob, I'm putting Illinois in as my 12 seed. Mm-hmm. I think Illinois sneaks in. Their toughness, their physicality sneaks them in. Illinois shocks everyone and actually wins something of importance. They get into the college football playoff. That is my 12. Rob, who is your number 12 seed?
Yes, of note, we got Big 10 schools sneaking in, which is interesting. Number 12, the Big 12 winner for me. I went back and forth on this, so they're kind of interchangeable. But my pick was Kansas State to win the Big 12, and that's the last one in. Kansas State.
Okay. K-State gets in. All right. Now we get down to more serious business here, because now we are down to actual games. And in my first game of the playoff, I would have number 8 LSU versus number 9 Miami. I would have LSU coming out on top in that game, so LSU would advance. Who's your 8-9, Rob?
My 8-9 is Ohio State versus Oregon. And I've
Big
got
Ten matchup.
Oregon. Yeah, I've got Oregon advancing.
All right, I like that pick.
Ryan Day gets fired.
There we go. I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when. I thought you might let him get through a round. He didn't even get through a round. Ryan Day gets fired. His stupid beard. At our next spot, we have our 5-12 matchup. I have Arizona State versus Illinois in my 5-12. And I have, I struggle with this one so much. Illinois coming out on top. Illinois beats the Big 12 and advances. Illinois gets through. Who's your 5-12, Rob?
5-12 for me is Notre Dame versus Kansas State, and I've got Notre Dame advancing.
Yep, I could totally see that. Next up, we have our 6-11 matchup. I've got Notre Dame versus Kansas State in that, and I've got Notre Dame advancing. So Notre Dame gets through on mine. Who is your 6-11?
6-11 for me is Georgia versus Boise State, and I've got Georgia advancing.
Fair enough. Final game, I've got my number 7 versus number 10. My number 7 is Alabama. Alabama versus Boise, and Alabama beats Boise and probably beats them rather easily. So Alabama advances on. Who is your 7-10 game, Rob?
7-10 for me is Texas versus Michigan, and I've got Texas advancing.
All right. Hey, I'll say this, and I don't know, usually we get down to it, we end up with vaguely the right. I'll say this, I like a lot of these matchups. I'd pay right now to watch these matchups. I'm all in on all of them so far. Okay, we get down to our quarterfinals. My number 1 seed is Clemson. I have them facing my number 8 seed, LSU, and I have Clemson advancing, but I don't feel good about it. Clemson, my number 1 versus number 8. Who's your 1 versus either 8 or 9?
Yeah, number 1, LSU is going to be versus number 9, Oregon for me, and I've got LSU advancing over Oregon.
All right, so I've got Clemson, you've got LSU advancing so far. Number 2, Penn State versus number 7, Alabama. Rob, I'm trying to talk myself into it, but I can't. I've got Alabama at the 7th seed advancing past Penn State, and I don't know what else to do with that. But sorry, Bama's going on, Penn State's going home because they don't ever beat good teams. So sorry about it. Who's your 2 versus maybe 7?
Yeah, same thing happened to me. Number 2, Penn State versus number 7, Texas. I couldn't do it. I got Texas advancing.
Sorry, Penn State. Sorry in advance. All right, my 3rd quarterfinal game would be number 3 A&M versus number 6 Notre Dame in a rematch of a game that they will have played already at Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame winning that game. A&M gets the rematch, and A&M advances on to the next round. Who do you have in that at your number 3, Rob?
Number 3, I've got Clemson versus number 6 Georgia, and I have Clemson advancing over Georgia.
All right. And then my final game of this, I've got number 4 Ohio State versus number 12 Illinois, and I've got Ohio State advancing. So for all the confusion, I really just ended up coming back to the same normal teams as usual. But all right, who's your final game in that quarterfinal matchup, Rob?
I got number 4 Alabama versus number 5 Notre Dame. This is a close one, but Alabama sneaks by, and I've got them advancing.
Goodness gracious. We're getting the same thing that we always do, aren't we? All right. I have our semifinals right now. Mm-hmm. And in my semifinal, I have got number 1 Clemson versus number 4 Ohio State. And Ohio State and the Big Ten win out over the ACC. So I've got Ohio State getting through. Who is your first semifinal matchup, Rob?
First semi for me, number 1 LSU versus number 4 Alabama, and I've got LSU advancing.
LSU gets through. All right. Second semifinal, I have Texas A&M versus Alabama, and I have Alabama coming out on top, which means I just get back to the same thing. Ohio State versus Alabama in my championship game. I hate myself, Rob.
Second semi for me, number 3, Clemson faces off against number 7, Texas, and I have Clemson advancing. So my final, I got LSU versus Clemson.
LSU versus Clemson, and I've got Ohio State versus Alabama. And again, I can talk myself into any of these. I can talk myself out of any of these. I don't feel good about any. All right, Rob, let's end it. Who's going to win your national championship?
I've got Clemson. The defense is going to be a little bit better at the end of the day. Dabo finally got into the portal, and he's rewarded by another championship. Clemson wins it all this year.
I've got Ohio State winning it all this year, and there's just no way they're going to go back to back. Then how does Ryan Day get fired? But I have Ohio State winning it all, and that just makes me disappointed to no end because I don't even have them winning the conference. But we also saw last year that doesn't always mean anything. I mean, now that you have the playoff, you don't have to win it all like you used to. You can lose a time or two and still get through and still win it. Either way, like I mentioned earlier, I would be thrilled with a lot of these matchups that we just had. And we might be off, but we won't be off by that much. You know, last year was a mess and we weren't off by that much. We still ended up with same basic teams getting through. There's a couple teams we're not quite sure about. And there's a couple teams we've got to see if they can mature and if they can grow up quick enough to figure some things out. And if they can, it's going to get real interesting. Rob, every year we just cannot wait until the college football season comes around. And with the tweaks made to the playoff this year, where it seems like it just makes a little more sense, I'm just a little more excited than usual. I think we've got some good teams. I don't know that there's any great teams. And a result, like we just talked about, we've got 12 to 15 teams. Legitimately, if things fall right and get a kid grow up, get a player step up, we see it every year. You could have any one of those teams go all the way, get on a run. How many teams last year did we see? You know, Arizona State, we didn't expect them to be that. They almost beat Texas. So, I mean, this is going to be a wide open year, maybe even more so than last year when we had talked about Ohio State and some of those teams. They're going to be big dogs. This year, I'm not quite so sure. It's going to be wide open, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, probably goes 7-8 deep for me. That could go either way, you know, back and forth. And one thing, too, we didn't mention that they did get right about the CFB playoffs is the hosting the home game. Some of those environments last year was great. And again, this season, kind of like we talked about some of these matchups, you know, watching a team at home, even, you know, Penn State hosting a home game, LSU, you know, getting a home playoff game is, you know, just great. Just great TV.
That would be so much fun. And you think about that first round last year, I think 3 of the 4 teams had snow on the ground when they were playing. It doesn't get any better. It's phenomenal. I can't wait. And it's going to be a fun year. You know, we've got some really fun early season matchups. We've got some big number 1 versus number 2, possibly opening the season. I mean, we have got some really, really fun games coming. Rob, once again, I cannot thank you enough for all your contributions that you make to the Dose. Like I said, you've been doing this probably 8-9 years now, coming in doing college football, coming in doing the NFL. But Rob, once again, your country has to ask more of you because we might need you to come back and get us ready for that NFL season over the next week or two because, you know, we've got that coming quickly as well. And speaking of teams or you know, situations where I'm not exactly sure, I've got one team, it's a team you cheer for. And outside of that, I'm not really sure what's going to happen in the NFL either. I think it's going to be pretty wide open as well. It's going to be a really, really fun year in the NFL, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it. Like I said before, this is kind of when we do the college football preview, this is when I know the season's starting. So college first, then NFL. So, yeah, Saturdays and Sundays, I'll be in front of the TV all weekend. Can't wait.
All right, Rob. Well, at some point, we're going to have to make you, make that drive up north. And you're going to have to come up here and visit and spend the weekend watching football up here.
Absolutely.
Things move a little slower up north. I want you to know. A little bit slower. But, it's all good. We'd going to have to figure that out. Might have to try to figure out, got a big fight coming this fall. Might have to try to figure out something for that fight because we got a big fight coming this fall. And I don't know. We haven't really talked about it quite yet on the Dose, but I want to make sure we get to that. But Rob, as usual, always enjoy your visits. Thanks for all that you contribute. Enjoy having you in every time and looking forward to breaking down the NFL here soon as well.
Can't wait. See you soon.
Hey, next week on the Dose, it is now time for our annual Daily Dose NFL Preview Spectacular. We will be breaking down every single team in the NFL. We will be making our playoff predictions, and we will be letting you know who will be making it all the way to Super Bowl 60. And you know, if you've listened to our annual show in the past, yeah, we've got a pretty good record. You want to know what's going to happen this year? Make sure you tune into the Daily Dose and make sure you let a friend know to do the same. Hey, I want to say thank you so much to Big Rob for all that you contribute to the Daily Dose. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening to the Daily Dose every week. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the texts. Thank you for the tweets. But more than anything, thank you for sharing the show, for sharing the videos, and for sharing the articles with someone that you know. We absolutely love it when you do that. I have to say thank you to JSP. Could not do any of this without you. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.
Ryan Day gets fired.
There we go.